Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy SK Rap. Randy's got some technical difficulties, but this is the Purple Parlor. He'll be popping in real soon. And man, we got to hit him with the intro rap.
Let's go.
I say the same. I say the same. I say the same. All right.
What is going on, everybody? As you can see, Randy's not with us at the moment. He's having some technical difficulties. And what a perfect time to get our shout outs in. And Delton, I felt like has been on the thread for a couple hours, just letting his frustrations vent. How's it going, Delton?
Shout out Delton, man.
Yeah, shout out Delton. Delton was at 1:30.
He came in hot. He came in hot, boy.
He came in hot. And we're going to talk about that too in Brian Flores topic. Obviously, that's kind of hot right now in the national media. But thank you for tapping in, Delton. Mary Fisk tapping in as always. It don't matter what channel we're on. Mary Fisk finds us.
Absolutely.
She finds a way to get in touch.
Man.
Papa
the
Gary.
Vi Queen, man. The Vi Queen,
for sure. Papa Gary tapping in. Same with Papa Gary. He finds us. No matter what channel we're on, he finds us.
Absolutely.
Skull Mafia tapping in as always. And I mean, all you guys find us, man, to be honest with you. I can go down the list. But appreciate you guys tapping in. Who else we got in here? I know I'm missing somebody. Too evil.
Broski. Too evil in the house.
Cut
Fart Carthy like.
Oh, stop it. Stop. I shouldn't even have put that comment up. Too evil.
I know, right?
You know better than that.
Too evil.
You don't talk about the king like that, all right?
He doesn't mean it.
That's our young prince.
He don't mean it. He actually loves McCarthy.
Adam tapping in. What's going on, Adam?
Adam, let's go. Charleston,
what is going on? Let me move some things around. Randy looks mad at us right now.
I'm not mad. I'm mad at technology, man. It really is the greatest gift and curse ever. Because 20 seconds, I mean, you guys were there. 20 seconds before we were supposed to go live, my internet just shit the bed, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And so now I'm good. I'm good now. You guys professional ran the show. We here.
Well, we didn't even talk about anything yet. We're just going through some comments real quick while we waited for our brother, man. So,
you're just fashionably late, man. That's all. That's all, man. We're all good. We got this. We're a team here.
That was annoying. But we here.
But how we feeling, guys? We got another pregame or preseason game under our belts now. No JJ McCarthy, unfortunately, but it was a really good game. Everybody performed really good. How we feeling? 2-0 in preseason.
Go ahead, Randy. Tell them how you feeling, Randy.
Well, I think with McGlothern and Taki Taimani having really, really good standout games, it was nice to not just focus on LDR and Bo Richter. Like, other players stood out on the defensive side that I said, okay, all right, these are pieces that you can say is going to have some sort of role this year, and maybe even a bigger role for when the JJ McCarthy era actually starts. So I thought it was a really good game. I think the officiating was piss poor as much as it was last year. But that aside, they got the job done. And I'm sure we'll talk about one player that everyone's talking about. Is this the turnaround for him? So, Rap, what are your thoughts on the game?
Man, first of all, we got the dub, so that's always a plus, right? Like, I see people don't really care about preseason games as much, but as the Vikings fan and me, I always want the dub. Like, that's the first thing I want to accomplish. I want the dub regardless, because I think it just does something to the team when you win. Winning always feels good. But I like, speaking of Bo Richter, though, he still had a sack that game.
He did
have a sack that game. So I think he has a roster spot, to be honest with you. But Nudie, man, like, Nudie has to make the team. Now, it's going to get a little sticky now, being that we just obviously went and signed Stephon Gilmore. But I still think they should find a way to make sure Nudi's on this 53-man roster, man. I just think he's a baller. He just knows he just understands where to be on the field. So, watching him was exciting. And then Jaron Mahomes Hall, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's get to that. Like, I mean,
look at SK, was nice, like, on the right side.
I don't know. Hey.
It was a nice play. That was a very nice play. Got to give it up to him.
Good. I mean, listen, a comeback victory the week before, even though it was shaky, it still was a comeback victory. Let's call it for what it was, right? And then this week he bounced back with like the perfect passer rate. I mean, hey, look here, man. We might be calling for number 16 to go out there if Sam Darnold starts slipping. I'm telling you.
Maybe we can get our 5th round pick back that we used on him.
Yeah. What do you mean?
To trade Jaron Hall?
Yeah. Why not?
Jaron Hall asset, man. He liked
why
that.
Not?
What? So what if Darnold screws up? Then all right. Well, at least
Nick Mullins, the one that was
we have Nick Mullins.
The one that was slinging in the first half.
Yeah, and you saw his stats. Man got what, a 50% completion rate.
Yeah,
got away with 2 turnovers that didn't happen. A touchdown.
Let's call it like this. Randy,
Jaron Hall doing that again. So is Jaron Hall QB2? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I'm on the same page. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yes.
I will put my livelihood that if Darnold goes down, Nick Mullins is QB2.
You're probably
There's
right.
no way in
Nick
hell
Mullins is a dead end quarterback, man.
So is Jaron Hall.
No, we don't know that.
Yeah,
we know what we're getting. We know what we're getting and not getting from Nick Mullins.
Bro, where's all the Jaron Mahomes Hall hate coming from, SK? I mean, where's it all coming from?
It's not the hate. It's just the overly loving.
Is it because he's from Utah?
We're just looking for any chance to just jerk off Jaron Hall, man. Like, let's stop it.
I mean, he played a good game, bro. You got to give him his props.
He made it. He had a really good, accurate pass that went for a touchdown. I'll give him that. He had a good game.
Dismissing Jaron Hall is you at the same time praising Nick Mullins. So let's reverse this. All right. Tell me why Nick Mullins outright deserves the job at QB2.
Well, I mean, give me a reason that Jaron Hall has deserved the right to be QB2.
Because Nick Mullins hasn't done crap his entire career. He's been in the league for like 8 years.
He had a good game in preseason. His first good game in preseason.
I mean, we got to keep the same energy though, man. SK, we had energy when our boy JJ had a one good game in the preseason too. Now we got to keep the same energy.
JJ's a top 10 pick. Jaron Hall was a 5th round pick for a reason.
Hey, he could be the next Tom Brady. Tom Brady was 7th round.
No, again, Brock Purdy.
If Nick Mullins steps onto the field at any point this regular season, it's like, all right, just take a shot, just drink, just what's happening.
Do the same for Jaron Hall.
No, you get hospital passes on top of the turnovers. Okay. So now we're risking other people getting hurt.
So Jaron Hall's just gonna go out there and sling it that much better.
I don't want to see Nick Mullins. I don't want to see Nick Mullins.
I don't want to see Jaron Hall.
All right. Well,
you want to see Matt Corral?
Okay. The only time he looked decent was for one possession against the Falcons before he got hurt. We saw him later on in that season. He was still recovering from the concussion throughout the season, bro. Like, you got to get a man a break. Stop it. Because before this preseason game wrap, you were on the same boat, like, oh, Jaron Hall. You took away the Mahomes. Now it's Jaron Mahomes Hall again.
Jaron Mahomes Hall all over again. He earned his name back.
He's going up against guys that are going to be bagging groceries.
All I'm saying is this. I think me and Randy are on the same page with this. All I'm saying, right, is if the season goes to shit, I'd rather go out with Jaron Hall.
I'm going out with Mullins.
I would feel better going out with Jaron Hall. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely
rather than watching Nick Mullins for 10 weeks.
Sling it. Big Dick Nick. Let him sling it.
Oh, man. Fuck
Let him sling it. Jaron.
Yeah, you was about to say it. Look, he was about to say it. Jaron Mahomes Hall. Let's go.
I have absolutely zero faith in Jaron Hall. Absolutely zero faith. And if Matt Corral wasn't the QB,
and do not tell me you got faith in Matt Corral.
Man. No. Absolutely not. And I mean, and that has nothing to do with what we saw in the preseason game where he shouldn't even have been playing. The guy was in the. I don't even think he's been in Minnesota yet. I think they signed him. And
he flew straight to Cleveland.
Yeah, he just went straight to Cleveland. So
my boy got right off the plane in Cleveland.
Yeah, what we saw from Matt Corral, I'm not going to hold anything against Matt Corral, but let's pump the brakes on this Jaron Hall QB2 top. I guarantee And KOC said it himself in the press conference. Nick Mullins is valued on this team for a reason, whether it be in the QB room or whether it be on the field. And I guarantee you, if Sam Darnold goes down, Nick Mullins is going to be the starter.
I'll say this, though. I'll say this.
Aaron Hall.
Mahomes Hall. You got it right. I'll say this.
All right. I'm about to be real disappointed.
I'll say this. If Nick Mullins, he will be QB2. I'll agree with you on that. But I will say this. If we get in a situation like we did last year, let's just say Sam Darnold is just straight ass, right? And we don't know which direction we're going. You put Mullins out there. If Mullins starts doing what he does with the turnovers and shit, hey, Jaren Hall will get his opportunity again this year. Trust me, bro. They drafted him for a reason.
Mullins is a gunslinger. He's gonna turn the ball over, but he's also gonna throw some dimes and get you some points on the board. I can't say the same for
but
Jaren
you're gonna
Hall.
lose. But you're gonna lose.
He's putting our players at risk. He is a safety.
Jaren Hall is gonna lead us to victory
on this roster. He's a safety hazard.
I guarantee you, Mullins gonna be a whole lot more exciting to watch than Jaren Hall is.
Nick Mullins is on his 3rd team going into his 7th season.
Yep.
In those 6 years, 34 touchdowns, 31 interceptions.
Jameis Winston stats?
Worse.
Yes.
Jameis Winston. He's Jameis Winston. He's the white Jameis
without the swagger.
Without the swag.
Sure. No. So he's who is he? What's the equivalent? He's a slightly better Christian Ponder.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm going that
Christian
far.
Ponder wasn't slinging it like Mullins.
You can sling it as much.
What's up with all this
Mullins? He's turning the ball over. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Ponder was throwing for like 127 yards. Like,
what's up with all this Mullins glaze you got going on tonight? This
is Mullins. This is Mullins and Jaren Hall. I'm taking Mullins 10 out of 10 times over Jaren Hall. Let's be. You know what? I hope KOC. I hope we see a lot more of Jaren Hall in preseason game 3. And we'll get the real Jaren Hall. I guarantee you. Again, against guys that are going to be bagging groceries in 2 weeks.
Okay.
If you include the lost fumbles by Nick Mullins, he has 34 touchdowns, 39 turnovers.
Hey, man. If Jaren Hall can put
we know what Nick Mullins is all about. At least there's an unknown that you can entertain yourself with for a couple of games.
If we're asking the receiving core, who do you want to throw you the ball if Sam Darnold goes down? They're saying Nick Mullins.
Oh, they want to go to the hospital then, huh?
No, because it's going to be a guy that's actually going to give you a chance.
I got insurance. Send me there.
All right, let's get to the spicy stuff. Even though that was kind of spicy.
Darnold's a starter.
I didn't see that coming.
Darnold is the starter. I mean, look. I mean, Nick Mullins and Darnold are like kind of the same.
He'll be lucky to be on enough teams as Mullins is to have a career like that.
Love's gonna put your foot in your mouth, man.
All right,
I mean, not Love. Hall.
Oh yeah, let's not get started on Love. Yeah. He's not that good. Well, let's get to the main story, man. The main story, kind of what we had to change things up last minute. Yeah. But Tua Tagovailoa decided to take a shot at our defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, on, was it the Dan Le Batard show, I believe?
Yeah.
Pretty much saying, and this isn't word for word, you may have the actual quote, one of you guys, but pretty much saying Brian Flores is a terrible person. And every morning that Tua stepped in the building, he would remind him that he sucked. The Dolphins didn't want him. He didn't want him. It wasn't supposed to be him that the Dolphins were supposed to draft. If we're being honest, it's kind of right. They should have drafted Herbert, but that's beyond the point. But pretty much just saying Brian Flores is a terrible person. How are we feeling about that? I'll let you go first, Randy.
No, I want you two to go first. I have an idea of what you're going to say, so I want y'all to get it off.
So I had to do a video on my channel about it to touch on it too, like the Vocal Vike channel, and I pretty much look at it like this, man. Brian Flores was already, the vibes probably were off due to all the extra stuff that was going on in Miami while Brian Flores was the head coach. He didn't, and it was clear from the beginning, he didn't even want Tua Tagovailoa to start with. You know, he just dealt with it because they went over his head to make the decision. And I mean, I just think he's a straightforward individual, and like not everybody can handle that, right? Like, and Tua seems like the type of guy to me, just based off, he seems like a good guy, like just real laid back, chill. But if a coach tells him, hey man, you need to do better, or you're not good, you're not playing good, he'll take it out of context and, oh, you're calling me sorry and shit, like just some soft shit, right? Like that's the vibe I get from it. And the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, is Tua Tagovailoa did have a slow start to his career. He was making a ton of mistakes. He was always putting them in a bad position. Brian Flores' defense, even though he was the head coach, I mean, the way Tua was turning the ball over, Brian Flores naturally probably was just pissed at him, man. You know what I mean? And it came out how it came out. Now, I'm not going to say Brian Flores is wrong. I'm not going to say he's right, because we don't know what really happened behind the scenes. But again, man, I just think Tua is being soft, bro, and just can't take the criticism. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was criticism from a straightforward type of coach that's just going to tell you what it is and how it is. And Tua is looking for somebody to, sit there and pat his wrist or do whatever, be a softie towards him, man. So I just think he's a wimp. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's this whole, was it Gen Z or whatever the hell it's called? Everybody's soft and sensitive nowadays.
Yeah.
You call me old school. I'm not old. I'm in my early 30s. Mm-hmm. But when I played football, my coach is calling me every freaking name in the book. And the way I was taught was, if your coach is hard on you, that means he expects the most out of you. Mm-hmm. That means he expects you to go out there and put on a good performance. And if not, he's going to be the hardest on you, especially playing the quarterback position, which is what I played in high school. So they're expecting a lot out of you. So if he's getting on you, if he's on your neck, he's doing it for a reason. You're the quarterback of the football team. Right. So, and we also got to remember where Brian Flores came from. He came from the New England Patriots under Bill Belichick, who is known, which it may not have been put out to the public while Bill Belichick was the coach of the New England Patriots. But now that we're getting the player interviews afterwards and they have the whole dynasty documentary, Bill Belichick would lay into all his players and the top players. And the main player that he would lay into is Tom Brady, of all people, the GOAT, the best quarterback, the best football player of all time. He would lay into him the hardest than any other player because he expected the most out of him. So in my opinion, it's just this whole Gen Z, Gen X, whatever the hell it's called, sensitive BS. Grow some nuts. If a coach gets on you, go out there and improve your freaking game. And a lot of Dolphins fans, if you look on Twitter, they're pretty much agreeing. They're saying, look, that this is the issue that we have with Tua. He's soft. And what's crazy to me is that he's complaining about Brian Flores getting on him about his performance or non-performance.
Right.
But when he used to throw a pick at Alabama in high school, Tua's dad used to whip his ass with a belt for every interception he threw. And now you're complaining about your coach in the NFL getting on you about your performance and telling you haven't been good enough. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I marvel at just how protective we can be with our own players and coaches, that meaning they come from another team, they're with us now, and if anybody from the other team, the previous team, says something about our new guy, we're like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's been widely reported and covered as far as Brian Flores and I guess the trouble he had with being a head coach. I think two things can be true. Tua was struggling early on in his career. I still have questions about him as a quarterback. I think if I had to compare him to anybody right now until I see anything otherwise, it's Dante Culpepper, in the sense that they brought on Tyreek Hill. All you have to do is say, screw it, Tyreek's out there somewhere. And guess what? That opens up the rest of the roster where the defensive backs are so focused on not getting dashed up by Hill that it opens up opportunities for your other receivers. So I think it makes things easier for a quarterback like Tua. At the same time, it's been widely reported, it's been well documented, especially from the Miami Herald folks in Miami, as far as Brian Flores not really being a good leader. At the same time, and I'm going to buy into that stock. I think there was something there. At the same time, this is the way this generation is now. SK, you touched on it. You're saying, hey, back in my day, I grew up this way, and if a coach got on my ass, he expects more out of you. And that's true, but whether it's in your career or in life, it's Darwinism. Like, you either adapt or you die. And I think because Brian Flores has this, get off my lawn attitude, we said the same thing about Zimmer, same exact guy. Whereas you got a quarterback, maybe you didn't want him, but what are you going to do? Just be mad all the time? How is somebody supposed to succeed under that type of coaching staff led by that guy? That doesn't mean that Brian Flores can't work in the NFL. It's just he's not fit to be a head coach. I do believe that to be true. Zimmer still deserves to be in the NFL. He's not a head coach. He's the D coordinator over in Dallas. That's fine. So being a head coach is a lot different from being a coordinator or an assistant coach. Like, you're the overseer of the entire team. You are doing PR in front of the media all the time. And part of being a head coach, the leader, the CEO of a team, is player management, employee management. You can't talk to everybody the same. And we can call it soft or whatever all we want to, but that's just what it is now. If you have this approach of it's my way or the highway, well, guess what? Eventually, you're going to push yourself out of a head coaching job. And you're going to have to, okay, this is just not your speed. Okay, we'll make you a D coordinator or an assistant coach like he was not last year. He was with us, but the year before that in Pittsburgh. Okay, go ahead and retread your stripes. You're good. But I do think there's something there that warrants how Tua, and he said this many times. The last time I remember him saying this before the Dan Le Batard interview was, I think he did some presser reacting to right tackle Austin Jackson, who got a contract extension last year. And I think they were in the same draft class, and the reporters asked Tua, hey, what are your thoughts on Jackson and his extension? And he said something along the lines of, man, we've been there from the beginning, the way that he used to be treated here. It's good to see that he came out on the other side. It's true. I think it is true that there is something there where there's smoke, there's fire, that Brian Flores probably just isn't a good fit to be a head coach in this generation of football. But he's still a damn good defensive coordinator. Being a head coach is not for everybody. That's my stance.
And this is where I'm going to love Tua for this, because I'm not going to say this is completely ruled out. Brian Flores is probably not going to get a head coaching job in the NFL anytime
Probably
soon.
not.
So extend the man, keep him as our defensive coordinator.
Right.
If you want to take shots at him and render his chance at getting a head coaching job, I don't think that's deserved. I don't think that's right. But hey, you can stick around in Minnesota for a while now, because the improvements I see on our defense, and KLC said, all the relationships that our players have with Coach Flores have been great. I've had the pleasure to meet the guy in person, though it was only for 5 to 10 minutes, and actually have a conversation with him. Seems like a really cool dude.
And
really
he looked out for
guy.
nephew too. He looked out for nephew.
Looked out for JJ. JJ will tell you the same thing. We're sitting there having just a normal man-to-man conversation for 5-10 minutes. Now, obviously, you can't necessarily judge a man off a 5 or 10 minute conversation,
right?
But just my personal experience from him, he sounded like a really cool, genuine dude. But I also know you get out on that football field, a lot of people's mentality changes. But stick around, be our defensive coordinator. You don't need to be head coach.
Right. I mean, with the stories, all the stories that were coming out about asking them to throw games and stuff like that in Miami. I mean, nobody actually knows if they're true or not. I mean, obviously right now it's just speculation and the case is ongoing. But still, yeah, if let's just say it is true, hypothetically speaking, I mean, that, to be real, that's bullshit, right? Like, to have to coach, and if you know the higher ups are wanting you to throw games and shit, and you might start looking at your quarterback like, motherfucker, you in on this or something? Like, you might just start looking at everybody sideways in the building. You know what I mean? Like, you feeling like people turning on you. It's a tough situation to be in. And I do feel for Tua. Like, yes, it would suck to like come to work every day. But Tom Brady just touched on this today. I think he did something with what's the most popular show on ESPN, man? The Pat McAfee.
Yeah. Pat McAfee
I think he was talking to Pat McAfee about how shit, bro, like you said, SK Bill, he said, shit, Bill Belichick did this to us all the time. Yeah. He said, this made us want to play harder and prove a motherfucker wrong. Like, you telling me I suck, I can't do that. All right, let me show you. You know, but I mean, and again,
that's
not
a whole
everybody's
generation ago.
Yeah. Everybody's not the same. Like Randy touched on. It's just like, you know, you gotta. My coach used to tell me, KYP, just know your personnel, right, and just understand that. Hey, this guy might be different from this guy. This guy is different from this guy, and know how to operate the whole team, and that's part of being a head coach of the whole football team. And like you guys touched on, maybe that's just not for Brian Flores. So. I'm good though. Let him stay in purple, man.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. Let him be a beastie
right there, right? In a weird way, as much as I am rooting for him, I want him to take advantage of all opportunities that he deserves. In a weird way, it benefits the Vikings because if no one else wants to touch him with a 10-foot pole as far as being a coach for their team, all right, we'll take him. We're good with it.
Absolutely.
And we can say that and we can also say like in Tua's to back Tua a little bit, even though I still think he being a pussy, right? Like still, but to back him a little bit, what I will say is this: he definitely, his game is definitely elevated since he got a new head coach. I will say that.
Yeah, so, he's got an offensive head coach.
He got an offensive head coach now. Yeah, the coach is very, you know, he seems like he's uppity and just kind of hypes his people up and good energy. So I mean,
if we want to look at wins and losses. In Brian Flores' tenure with the Miami Dolphins with Tua as quarterback, they have 19 wins.
They got more than with McDaniel?
They have 20 wins with McDaniel. So it's not much of a difference.
Okay.
But we all know, Randy touched on this, when it's a defensive head coach, we have personal experience with Mike Zimmer. Don't turn the ball over. That's their biggest thing as a defensive coach. Let our defense work. Just don't turn the ball over. It's ultra safe. Don't, maybe not chuck the ball downfield as much. Just don't turn the ball over is the defensive coach's main thing. And they wanted Herbert at the end of the day anyway. So
another issue real quick before we move on, or unless Randy's going to say something else on it, is the podcast now, man. You know what? A lot of teams go or deal with this type of stuff, like the Micah Parsons and everybody jumping on these podcasts, or having these players having their own channels or wanting to get on podcasts every week. You feel me? Like it's fucking the game up, man. I'm telling you, bro. I mean, it's good for us because we get to talk about it. But I mean, it's definitely fucking the game up, man. You know,
and we don't have a lot of guys that actually have we don't have any guys that have podcasts. I don't think right now.
We don't, because Patrick Peterson.
Peterson had his, but it was never.
And it wasn't controversial. No, it was never controversial.
So we're enjoying it right now until Justin Jefferson decides to create.
He doesn't come off as a podcast type guy.
Yeah.
Nah, he don't come off. He don't come off as a podcast type guy. If I had to pick one person on the team who would come up with a podcast, I would have to say, who what would you guys think? I'm gonna see if y'all
right now at this very moment, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones. Okay, I can see that. I'm going to Caleb Evans. Like, to me, I just feel like a Caleb Evans would be the type that would start a podcast and just start talking like big dog shit. You know what I'm saying?
All that time you could be doing a podcast, you better be looking up film. You have in the playbook. I don't want to see him on a podcast, bro. If you want to get on a podcast, be good, or at least do your job. Don't be playing like ass and then let's see what we got to talk about today. I don't want to hear from you. I want to see you play good.
I would say Cam Bynum or Ivan Pace.
I could see Ivan Pace. Ivan Pace has a personality where he would.
I could see Bynum.
I could see Bynum too. Yeah,
I think Bynum.
I could see like Bynum. I could see Bynum, him and his wife, like doing a podcast. He's big on that
90 Day Fiance
family shit. Yeah, Metellus
Well, Metellus actually.
Metellus, definitely. Metellus.
Yeah, Metellus was actually on Twitter not too long ago talking about starting a pod.
So we got some guys.
Yeah,
we got some guys that'll start some. Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
The
Hopefully they don't know.
Shut that shit down.
Yeah.
Focus on football.
Yeah, so they'll be like, nah, dog.
But speaking of defense, we're talking about Brian Flores and the improvements he's done for this defense. A player that improved, it seemed like, over the week was Lewis Cine, who had an absolute monster game against the Cleveland Browns. Granted, it was preseason, but that's the most we've ever seen out of Lewis Cine, which I believe he ended the game with 10 tackles, a sack, an interception, one of the higher graded players on the entire team, which, I mean, does that solidify him on this 53-man roster now? Like,
can I do this? Let me start. Can I start on this one?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we not have shame as Vikings fans? And maybe this is a league-wide thing. It's one thing, gentlemen, rap SK. If a player that just joins the team, say Bo Richter, JJ McCarthy, LDR, and you say, hey, you see them in preseason, you're like, whoa, this is amazing. Like right off the bat. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. Do we not have any shame to where we can't differentiate between that and a guy that's going into his third year, hadn't done squat the first two, under two defensive coordinators that both looked at him and said, nah, fam, you're at the bottom of the cellar. And he has one moment in the preseason against a third team offense. And now there's a controversy. Does he deserve to be on this roster? Man, the only way, in my eyes, if it were up to me, the only way that he deserves to be on this roster is the final preseason game. He needs a modest like 40 tackles and 22 interceptions. I'm not kidding. And 15 TFLs to make up for the previous 2 years. Wow. We're talking about a first round pick. And he has one moment going into year 3 in the preseason. Oh, I don't know. In fact, you know what? Get your takes off. I got one more thing I want to do. Get your takes off.
You want to go first, SK? Go ahead.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I mean, it's a nice moment to see a guy actually finally have a decent game in a game that doesn't matter after 3 years of waiting for something, any type of pulse from this guy. And we got it. And yes, great game. Had a sack coming off the edge, looked really good. Had a really big hit on the quarterback. Like, awesome. Great for your highlight tape. But what it's also great for is for trade bait. Get something back. This is the time to trade Lewis Cine. I don't care what you get back. Just get it back. But, I mean, congratulations, Lewis Cine. You had a good preseason game.
Okay, so I feel different from both of these fellas here. All right, like listen, I'm gonna and let me break this down, bro. And I'm not listen. This is the thing. There's a difference between saying Lewis Cine should be on the team because he's gonna be starting, rather than saying, hey, Lewis Cine needs to be on the team because he can be the third safety on the depth chart or something like that, right? I don't think you can cut Lewis Cine or trade Lewis Cine, and here's why. This is my outlook on it. All right. First of all, Lewis Cine snapped his ankle, bro. Like he snapped his ankle
2 years ago, rap.
Bro, it doesn't matter. That I said this when that happened. It takes time to get your mental back to go full speed. And guess what? Why I'm excited, and I'm not saying he's gonna be the next Harrison Smith or anything like that, but what I'm saying is he still could be a goddamn comparable player for the Minnesota Vikings, bro. Listen. That game showed me that, okay, it seems like he's getting comfortable, bro. It seems like he got more comfortable. His speed, the way he was laying hits. I'm telling you, don't sleep on Lewis Cine, bro. Like, I think he can bounce back. Now, this is me, the Vikings fan in me, trying to, because out of everybody, when we drafted Lewis Cine, I was mad. All right, first of all. In 2022, the night we drafted him, I was pissed. I was like, who is this kid? But again, right now at this moment, I don't think trading him, like we talked about this earlier, SK. And Randy agrees with you to trade. What the hell are you going to get for Lewis Cine off of one preseason game? A 7th round pick?
Bro, I'll take this. I'll take another one of these remotes, and I'm good.
Give me a pack of Starburst, dude.
Bro, come on.
Like,
Come on, man.
Let's all right. So I'm glad Rap got to get that take off because that sets up perfectly for this. Let's play a game of as they trim down the roster.
Yeah.
Player A or Lewis Seen. Okay, because I think one of the main issues for even if the Vikings do want to say, hey, Lewis Seen, there's something there, maybe we should keep him. This team is so deep as far as talent in other positions that what sacrifice are you going to make? Yeah. So let's start it off.
All right.
Dalton Risner or Lewis Seen. Risner has been talked about. Maybe he's a cut candidate. Dalton Risner or Lewis Seen.
Risner. You need the depth at that position a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, position. I would. I'm going Risner with that one. Yep. I'll go Risner with that one. Yeah.
Duke Shelley or Lewis Seen.
See, when you say that, I might go Lewis Seen on that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I might go Lewis Seen on that. I'm being free.
I wouldn't go Lewis Seen because I feel like Shelley would be more valuable to our team than a Lewis Seen would. The Gilmore signing kind of makes that a little cloudy because now that bumps Shelley down to where I think he's gonna get cut anyways.
Put him on a practice squad
because I think McGlovern's done really good this offseason and in the preseason that I think he makes that 53-man roster. And that kind of leaves Duke Shelley out anyways. But if I had to choose, I'm going Duke Shelley.
Bro.
Taki Taimani or Lewis Seen?
Taki Taimani. Now, we just talked about this. The man had one good game.
So did Lewis Seen.
It don't matter. He had one fucking game. So pretty much we're judging Taki Taimani off of last game and Lewis Seen off of both the Cleveland game, and we're figuring out who we would take over the other. And I'm going Lewis Seen.
You need depth at the interior defensive line a whole lot more than you need at the safety position.
Take your pick of Lucky Jackson, Trent Sherfield, any of the receivers that are right now trying to fight to make it on this roster with as deep as we are at receiver. Any of those bottom tier receivers or Lewis Seen?
Well, Tristan Jackson already made the 53-man.
See, here we go.
No. So, yeah, of course, but everybody below him, or technically below Brandon Powell. And Taki Taimani is a rookie. Like
he is a rookie, though. Yeah,
I'm taking Sherfield. Actually, it depends on the special teams aspect of it. And I think Sherfield provides more value in special teams than Lewis Seen does. So I'm going Sherfield.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie. Sherfield a beast in Madden. I just want to throw that out there. Like in Madden, he's actually the third. He's actually the starter. Like as far as the default roster.
Tristan, though.
He isn't, but we know you going. we know, bro. We know you gonna fight for your boy.
You're not gonna hear the end of it. You are not gonna hear the end of it. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah, so that's I could go on and on, but I just don't see the room for Lewis Seen with just how many players are showing out elsewhere that I'll take extra players that you normally wouldn't do any other year, say edge rusher, Patrick Jones II or Lewis Seen. I mean, how deep they are. Yeah. So I'll take an overload elsewhere for the sake of losing Lewis Seen, and you still got 4 dope ass safeties. Like you're chilling.
I think what just got me a little excited about him is the last game. And although, yes, it was against 3s and 4s and it's a preseason game and I get that, but I think what we seen, no pun intended, right, is what we expected to see is when we drafted him. He did everything we were expected. He was laying the hat. He got an interception. Like he was doing everything that we were looking for. You know what I mean? Like it's a sign of, okay, could this be a trend now? Like, is he finally getting it? You got to throw that out there, bro.
We do this with every player, bro. Ain't give a shit this entire time.
Including Jaron Hall. Including Jaron Hall.
Oh, God, he's in his second year. He's in his second year. What do you want from him? And plays quarterback.
Second, if we're talking about Lewis Seen was snapped his ankle in his rookie year. I'm gonna use the rap argument.
Y'all don't got no.
If you're being honest,
they're both snapped his ankle,
2 years in.
Man snapped his ankle, bro. Give him the benefit of the
Lewis Seen has literally 2 years in. Jaron Hall has 1.
1.5.
All right, so Lewis Scene's a bust, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
He's
not
that's okay.
He is.
Hey, if we keep signing these undrafted free agents that are ballers, hey, if we get a bust from time to time, we get a bust from time to time.
It's just hard for me to watch Lewis Scene's film in college and what he did, and it didn't seem like he had to do much playbook studying because he was such a free roamer that was just out there and being an enforcer. To where it's like, how the fuck don't you fit in the NFL? Like, he should be able to plug into any goddamn NFL roster, bro, and just be able to be Lewis Scene, dog, that we seen at Georgia. Like, literally, bro, that's the type of play style he had in college. So it's one of those things where it's just hard for me to just realize like he's not it, bro. Like, how? Like, at least a mediocre player? I ain't even asking you to be great. Like, just be half of the Lewis Scene you was at Georgia, bro.
If we're being honest, though, you look at that Georgia defense, and outside of the interior defensive line, nobody's really worked out from that Georgia defense. Quay Walker is a okay player for the Packers.
Yeah, he's okay.
You have, was it Kylie Ringo, who's kind of just a depth piece in Philadelphia at the corner position. I mean, the only guy that's really stood out is the interior defensive lineman that ended up going to the Eagles.
Jordan Davis?
They all went to the Eagles, yeah.
And if we're being honest, Jordan Davis, he's good, but he hasn't shown this.
He didn't turn up like how like people were talking about
as a top. If you're drafting somebody in the top 10,
now Jalen Carter, now he definitely
Jalen Carter, yeah. But again, that's interior defensive line.
Yeah.
But outside of that position group for that Georgia defense, nobody's really done anything in the league. And that you can compare that to how Alabama used to be with whether it be their quarterbacks. Now, the receivers are always really good. The running backs are always really good. But how many of their offensive linemen that got drafted high have really worked out?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things to where you're on such a good team in college and you're coached up so well that it doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL when you don't get that coaching or when you're not on a stacked team like that, like you were in college. So, I mean, we can hold it against Lewis Scene. That's the one thing I hold against Kwesi. I'm like, dude, you could have had Kyle Hamilton, and the only pick that you got in return, you used it on Andrew Booth, who isn't even on the team anymore.
Yeah, and if we would have got Kyle Hamilton, Harrison Smith wouldn't have been on this roster anymore. Like, he would have probably been gone last year. Yeah, he would have retired because he would have started seeing Kyle Hamilton at practice and been like, you know what, it's a wrap for me. I love it here, guys. It was good. The run was nice.
But that was the
I'm passing the torch over.
You're handing off that safety position,
bro. But SK, hold on a minute. I got a bone to pick with you though with that though, because real quick, Randy, I got to get on our boy SK because you know what,
between y'all.
Yeah, because when we used to do these mock drafts and all this BS before, it was always, trade back, let's get picks, right? And I used to say, fuck the picks. You need to get the best player on the board because Kyle Hamilton he's better than all 3 picks that we got for that trade. We got Lewis Scene, Andrew Booth Jr.
Verlin Lowe was the other one, I think.
No, I think it was Brian Asamoah was part of that. Was he?
Was it Asamoah?
I think it was Lewis Scene, and then I know we got Andrew Booth.
Or was it Evans?
No, Evans was 4th. It might have been Ed Ingram. No,
it wasn't Ed Ingram. It wasn't Ed.
Well, anyways, it was, even if you add, fuck it, you can add all of those players. You can say we got all of those motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't equal up to getting the good player on the board. Now, yes, you have to scout that and understand that and be able to identify that. And yeah, we failed to do that because we thought getting more players is better than just getting the best player. And sometimes that's the thing I disagree with all the trading back all the time. It's like, nah, dog, like get the best player on the board. You know what I'm saying?
Which I agree with you there. Now, for this particular draft, I was in Vegas for this draft. So I was at this, pool party at the Palms or whatever, and they had the big screens playing the draft and everything. So when we were initially on the clock and I said, okay, Kyle Hamilton's available, I'm cool with drafting him. But let's not forget, obviously, Harrison Smith was still on the roster at the end of his career, towards the end of his career, still at the end of his career. So we're looking for possibly a replacement. But at the same time, we don't need a safety. Cam Bynum was coming into his own at that time. Obviously, you have a Josh Metellus, which not at that time, he wasn't really recognized. He was just a special teams player, but he's grown into the player that he is now, which if he didn't, then this would be a whole lot worse than what it is now. And we'd be kind of beating ourselves a little more over us drafting Lewis Cine and him being so bad. But my issue with it is you traded back 20 spots. 20 spots. What was it? Pick 14?
Pick 12.
Pick 12. We're at 12. So you trade back 20 spots. Not only do you trade back 20 spots, but you trade with your division rival in the Lions. Mm-hmm. And I believe they picked Jameson Williams. Mm-hmm. Which it doesn't sting as bad because Jameson Williams isn't some world beater at wide receiver. But you trade back 20 spots with your division rival. And when it initially happened, I said, we traded back 20 spots. We're getting a first-round pick in return for next year's draft. We're going to be lined up to draft a quarterback. This is awesome. This is a perfect situation. Yes, it's to the Detroit Lions, but we get a first-round pick in return. Great. Then I saw the draft capital that we got back in return, and I said, what the hell are we doing? You might as well. And then we drafted a safety anyways. So you had the opportunity to draft the top safety in that draft. Decided to trade back 20 spots with your divisional rival, didn't get a first-round pick, drafted a safety anyways, then drafted a corner, which at the time, I liked the Andrew Booth pick. I think we kind of all did.
No,
we all liked getting – you didn't like Andrew Booth in the second round?
I did not like Andrew Booth. I did not.
I liked it for it being in the second round.
I knew he was ass, bro. He got popular off one interception. He got popular off what he got drafted high because of one interception he got against Auburn, bro. A one-handed Odell interception got him.
If we're being honest with Andrew Booth, yes, he hasn't played great, but the main reason why he was traded is because he can't stay healthy. He just can't stay on the field. Your best ability is your availability.
He get cooked, bro.
He does, but if you can't get on the field to actually train and get better, you're not going to get better.
They did say he had a good game against Dallas. I seen that.
In Dallas, against the Raiders. But that was my issue with it. I mean, but with what Kwesi's done this offseason, outside of maybe not addressing the interior defensive line, I think he's made up for that. And having Metellus and Cam Bynum become the players that they are alleviates that pain a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe of all of us, between the three of us, I have to be the positive one here.
Let's go.
Like, y'all living in the past, man. That's negative land. And the last two off seasons, Kwesi's been cooking, man.
Yeah.
Free agency. Well, last off season's free agency, not so much Dean Lowry and Marcus Davenport. Okay, that was a disaster, but at least the draft was good. This total off season, free agency and the draft, and you just brought on Stephon Gilmore.
Mm-hmm. Perfect segue.
He's cooking. He's cooking, man. What happened in 22? Yeah, I'm off it. It happened.
It was his first draft. It was his first draft.
It was.
You know, we all make mistakes. He's still learning, but hey, like I said, or like Randy said, went and signed Gilmore yesterday. So, or was it yesterday or the day before?
The day before.
Was it Tuesday?
It was Saturday, wasn't it?
No, it was Sunday. It was Sunday.
Okay. So yesterday morning. So perfect segue into our next topic. I think we're good on talking about Lewis Cine from now on. Hopefully that's the last time we have to talk about Lewis Cine.
Should have got Jalen Petrie, Kwesi. I've been banging the table for him, man. Should have got Jalen Petrie, man.
Yeah, he was a really good receiver for Daniel Jones this past week in the preseason.
I know.
But the Minnesota Vikings signed Stephon Gilmore to a 1-year deal up to $10 million. I believe it's $7 million guaranteed. I think we all agree that's cornerback one, right?
Actually, I probably would agree with you. Like, it took me a second because I was like, oh, Byron Murphy. I was like, what has he really done? To be the CB1. If anything, because Steph and Shaq, they're going to play outside. So I would imagine that means Byron Murphy is exclusively inside. He's a slot guy now.
Which is perfect.
Yeah,
I think that benefits. I think that benefits Byron Murphy a ton, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
I love this. I love it. I mean, you had to, especially we talked about this last show after the JJ McCarthy injury. obviously those two positions have nothing really to do with each other. You're not supplanting JJ McCarthy with Stephon Gilmore. But after that injury, you got to kind of inject this team with some life, some positive influences. And obviously the win in Cleveland, whether it's a preseason game or not, it's a positive influence. Now you go out there and you sign Stephon Gilmore in a position that obviously needs the help. And you get a perennial Pro Bowler, played really good for Dallas last year, and he slides right into that cornerback one spot. He may not be the lockdown corner that he was before, but I guarantee he's going to help out this cornerback room a whole lot. And we're gonna be a lot better for it, in my opinion.
My ideal depth chart at corner is those three guys we just mentioned. And then to have Dwight McGlothern, man, if he keeps making a name for himself, he could, dare I say, challenge for CB4. And then I know Caleb Evans is still out there, but he's so wishy-washy that in a perfect world, McGlothern boosts his stock up, and Caleb Evans is the emergency CB5, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we keep 5 corners, right? More than likely. 5 or 6?
Well, depends on what you want to do with Lewisine.
Right.
Could go with 6.
Could go, man. I think
Lewisine shows some flesh for the first time.
Will be on the scene, man. Scene will be on the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Scene will be on the scene, not on the field. He'll just be on the scene.
He'll be on the scene. No, I said this the other day where I was like, when's the last time the Vikings had really 3 veteran DBs out there at the same time? Man, this is actually going to be a big move. On top of having Harrison Smith out there as well. Harrison Smith no longer has to worry about these young guys not knowing their assignment. I think this is going to help him to be able to play more free, especially at the age he's at right now. It's going to benefit him. It's a trickle-down effect. When you bring in somebody like Stephon Gilmore, man, this is going to open the doors for Byron Murphy to now be able to be Byron Murphy that we expected when we got him on the team, because now he can lock in and be in the slot, and he doesn't have to worry about the guy on the other side missing his assignment where he has to try to make up for it. Now you have 3, and not to say that Shaquille Griffin is the best of all time, but I mean, these guys can hold their own, man. They've been around the league. They know what it's about, and I think it's going to be really good for the Minnesota Vikings, man. Bringing in Stephon Gilmore was a power move, in my opinion, for sure, regardless of the age.
It's an upgrade from last year, and I think that's all that matters.
Although Patrick Peterson was pretty. But
decent. Patrick Peterson wasn't with us last year.
Yeah, not last year. Yeah, you're right. That was
so. As long as we improved from last year, and we did with the personnel, and this defense is just going to get that much better from last year. You got Ivan Pace coming in with another off season of work. You got Dallas Turner, who's looking like he's legit. Then I mean, we don't talk enough about Jonathan Greenard. I mean, that's kind of flown under the radar. That was our initial signing. That was our first signing. We went out there and made it a point. This is a guy that we want. And I don't think we're talking enough about him. Van Ginkel is getting a whole lot more attention than Greenard is. And that's because Greenard hasn't played in preseason, and he's not playing for a reason. So you got the pass rushers.
Yeah.
The interior defensive line, I know Levi's looked great and everything, but I still feel like that's a hole. I love Harrison Phillips, but we need someone alongside him. But outside of that, this defense is going to improve. They're going to be really good this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a top 10 defense this year.
I was just about to ask you, what are you saying? Top 10?
I would say we're right on the fringe of top 10.
Another thing too that gives me, the vibe is this. If you go out and you get a player like Stephon Gilmore, man, that tells me that you're trying to be competitive right now. So I know we have some fans who thought like, JJ McCarthy went down and now it's over. We're going to just try to mosey through this season. Nah, that's not how our front office is thinking, bro. Because right after it happened, they went right out and got he used to be an A-list player. We can all agree. Stephon Gilmore was an A-list player at a point in time in his career. Now, he might be 5 years removed from that, but still, he still has the potential and, again, the veteran leadership to, he could easily have a breakout season this year, bruh. he can easily come out this year and have 5-6 interceptions. And, you know, it's very possible just due to the fact that he has the experience. So again, man, this team's trying to win now, man. Shout out Kwesi, man. Shout out Kwesi and everybody still trying to cook, man, and keep us fans happy too. Like, keep it competitive. Like, hey, God, we not giving up. We know that's heartbreaking news with the quarterback and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, we still going all in, you know? So, hey, that's the type of move I like.
I mean, that's the Minnesota Vikings every single year. I know there's some fans that are, we need to tank and we need to just get the best draft pick possible. I'm going to tell you right now, the Vikings have never done that, and they never will. As long as the Wilfs are the owners, and I mean, even before the Wilfs were owners, the Vikings have never been that type of organization to say, let's just trade away everybody and get the best draft pick possible. We don't have that loser mentality. Now, we haven't won a Super Bowl, unfortunately, and I don't think that's a direct impact to that. I honestly think we're cursed, but no, when you're, especially when you're a team in Minnesota where you're not going to get the spotlight like you would in those bigger cities, you got to be competitive. And we're going to continue to be competitive year in and year out, regardless of what happened to JJ McCarthy in last preseason game. We are going to be a middle of the pack team. We're going to be a fringe playoff team unless we have some drastic injuries and we're looking at a top 10 pick. So we're always going to be in the middle of it.
I hope Taki and LDR become starters on the interior defensive line. Maybe even Jonah Williams if one of the two doesn't make it. But that's what I'm hoping for. Because I've seen nothing else from anybody else. But this could be a great defense. It really could.
It could. You know, shout out Brian Flores out here, man. You know what I mean? Making people tuck their tail out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up.
Hey, keep being hard on them players.
Keep being hard on them, B-Flow. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it's just those offensive players that can't handle.
Hold their ass accountable.
You know? I never heard it. I've never.
When I read like the transcript, I felt bad for Tua though. You know what I mean? Like the way it came off, I'm like, damn. Look, got his feelings hurt.
Regardless of whether it was right or wrong or whatever side you're on, you're a pussy for saying that. Let's be real. Like, you're such a pussy for putting that out there to the public. I came to work every day and they just let me know they didn't want me and I wasn't good and I wasn't this and I wasn't that. You're a grown-ass man. You play in the NFL. Grow some freaking balls, dude. Like, seriously. Like, be a man about it.
It's tough. It's a tough situation. It's a tough situation.
All right.
Yeah, dude.
Randy's like, damn.
That's K's words.
Damn. You know, that's
quote me.
Up,
quote me. Like... Quote tweet me. Tag Tua. I don't care.
You know, I'm gonna say this. I'm neutral. I'm sticking up for B-Flow due to the fact that he's our defensive coordinator, and I'm always gonna ride for the purple. Like if Tua was our quarterback, then I'd be vice versa. But like, you know, I'm gonna inch a little more towards B-Flow, but I am neutral though. I do feel I have nothing against Tua, and I mean, it is kind of heartbreaking for him just knowing that he obviously can't handle it, right? He can't handle it, and it kind of damaged him in a way, although he's bounced back now. I mean, he should just cashed in a big ass contract. So, hey, bro, leave it alone, dog. You shouldn't even have to mention it, to be honest with you. Like, you cashed in, bro. Like, you doing your thing, bro. Hey, let your money talk. You know what I'm saying?
It's more so how you say it. Look, if they weren't supporting you, if they didn't want you, you could have went in there and been like, hey, they didn't want me. That just motivated me more to get where I'm at now.
Right.
But you had to take the whole soft route. They didn't want.
You had to call our boy out. Now, will this have an effect on how some of the players on our team look at B-Flow now?
I don't think so. No.
Nope. Absolutely.
But I think it was a situation where both parties clearly couldn't work with one another. Now they're separated, and right now they're both thriving without one another in different situations. So
sometimes probably in our locker room. B-Flow in our locker room right now, like, shit, it is what it is. Boy, they're trash. I called him trash. It is what it is.
Hey, man.
You right, coach. He is trash. Let me stop.
Hey, man. I wish we played the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, me too. He picked the right year to talk crazy.
And we still haven't played against Tua yet. Remember, they played a backup quarterback.
He picked the right year to talk crazy, but he knew what he was doing.
So, but moving on to, it looks like our last topic of the night. What are some surprise roster cuts we're gonna have in the next couple weeks?
And
Who
don't say
will
Lewis
not
Cine.
make this 53
Yeah,
man
that's not
roster?
going to be a surprise.
Yeah, we know that's good.
The Lewis Cine hate real tonight, y'all. Y'all hear?
I guess for me, N'Keal Harry, in the sense that I'm surprised that he just hasn't been able to outmaneuver linebacker coverage and make plays. Much like Sam Darnold, even though they play two different positions, I thought N'Keal Harry, like, this was his last shot to not be a bust and find your way in a different avenue. Okay, wide receiver, you're a bust, but tight end, you can go off, dude. And he's going to get cut, and it shouldn't be a surprise. But when it was announced that he was going to switch to tight end, I thought he was going to have a huge impact for this team, and it just hasn't been there.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Rap?
Surprise cut. I don't know, man. I don't know if there's gonna be any really surprises.
No shocking ones.
Yeah, like I don't think I don't know. I can't think of one that's gonna be like, oh damn, he got cut for real. Like, if I had to guess, if I had to just throw one out there, I would probably say it'd be out of two people. It's gonna be one of the wide receivers that I think is gonna shock because of how good a lot of them been playing. When you're talking about Tristan Jackson, you're talking about Jalen Naylor, like. Although Tristan Jackson's been playing well, I notice your boy SK. Although he's been playing well,
don't you put that in the universe?
If it comes down to, because I heard that Sheffield's making the squad regardless, right? Like they said.
Who's your sources? Who's your sources, Rap? I need your sources.
Hey, I'm just saying that's what they saying. They saying boy at practice, he a practice type player. We talking about practice. They say he like that and he a leader out there. So. When you think about that and you think about obviously the obvious, JJ, Addison, Naylor, and Brandon Powell playing, he's going to be on the team because they haven't even been dressing him out like that during games. So now you're left with, okay, Tristan, you've been balling, but don't be surprised if he's practice squad shawty once again.
That would be a surprise to me. I feel like
it would be a surprise, but don't be surprised. You know what I'm saying?
If he doesn't make the 53-man roster, somebody's picking him up. So you're losing him. Yeah. You're losing Justin Jefferson's best friend on the team. By the way,
I know. See, if it was me, I would like, as if you want to talk about a surprise, I would say Brandon Powell. Like, go ahead and just cut. Like, he is versatile. Don't get me wrong. He can return punts and stuff, but I think like keep Tristan Jackson due to that fact. Not only is Tristan Jackson balling and proving that he can play the position, but the relationship he has with Justin Jefferson, I think that's valuable. So, I mean, Brandon Powell, I think if we were to get rid of Brandon Powell, we would forget about it after a week, bro. It's not like we're going to be, hurt out here like, oh, we got rid of a super major asset on the team. It's like, nah, bro.
And I also think if we're kind of, because it all depends on the type of player you are, especially at the wide receiver position. Yeah. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is just kind of in a league of his own. He can do everything damn near. You have Jordan Addison, who's, has been your deep threat. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be your deep threat going forward. I think Justin Jefferson's going to get some more looks when it's deep downfield. It seemed like Jordan Addison was getting all the deep shots last year. I think that kind of balances out between him and JJ. But when you look at Brandon Powell, before preseason started and we're just getting into training camp, his competition one-on-one was Jalen Naylor. Naylor versus Brandon Powell. Now, Jalen Naylor seems a little bit bigger than Powell, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a lot of bit bigger.
But everybody's bigger than Powell.
Yeah, Powell's like 5'6" or some bullshit, 5'8".
So they called Naylor speedy for a reason. And you guys can vouch for this. I was not on the Jalen Naylor bandwagon when training camp started. And that was strictly due to him not being able to stay healthy. Well, we see now that he's been able to stay healthy and he's looked great. But what I'm getting to is that his direct competition to make this roster was Brandon Powell. They're kind of the same type of receiver when we think about it. But then when you move down the list, we can look at Sherfield and we can look at Tristan Jackson. Tristan Jackson is bigger than Sherfield. Sherfield probably faster than what Tristan Jackson is. But we kind of got our speedy guy in Jalen Naylor. Or if you decide to keep Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell, you got two speedy guys. but we don't necessarily have a receiver that's a big body guy. Justin Jefferson is our big body guy that can go up and get those 50-50 balls. So I've been saying this for the past 2-3 years that we need a receiver that can go up and get it. And we tried to do it with N'Keal Harry. Obviously, that didn't work. And Tristan Jackson is kind of that guy that you would give that 50-50 ball to. And he's shown that he's able to do that. Not only that, but he's shown that he has a really good route tree. He runs nice, smooth routes. And especially those routes that KOC loves to run where the receiver's kind of, going through a lot of traffic and ends up just breaking free for, wide open pass. We've seen Tristan Jackson do that multiple times, not only in the preseason games, but also in training camp as well. So I think Tristan Jackson brings a whole lot more value than maybe a Sherfield or even a Brandon Powell brings to this team, not just on the field, but whatever we want to say about it. If it comes down to it, Justin Jefferson's got a little bit of say about
he gonna vouch for him.
Receiver room.
He'll vouch for
him.
If
it comes down to Justin Jefferson's best friend or Trent Sherfield or Brandon Powell, they're probably gonna lean towards making Justin Jefferson happy and keeping his best friend around because there's no way in hell after the preseason training camp that Tristan Jackson has had that he's gonna stick on this practice squad. Somebody is going to pick him up if he doesn't make the 53-man roster.
Wide receiver 1 through 5, if we had it in our favor, if we made the decisions, we already mentioned those 5 guys with Brandon Powell possibly being the 6th. You have 5 receivers, Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Tristan, Sherfield, that are legit big play guys that can stretch the field. I would be shocked if Sherfield and or Tristan are let go. Both of them need to be on this roster. And if there's any receiver, to me anyway, if there's any receiver to say, I don't know, it will be Brandon Powell. But then again, that would be your 6th guy. And that goes back into the Lewisine thing where it's like, you know what? Yeah, no, there's no problem here. 6 receivers will make that happen by letting a guy like Seen go. But you've got a good shot of having an explosive offense if Sam Darnold can just take care of the football with these 5 receivers, not to mention with whatever you get from Robert Tonyan. And when Hawk comes back, a strong run game. That's a nice receiver room that if any of those guys are gone, I'm going to say, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's definitely one of, if not the deepest wide receiver group in the NFL. I mean,
I think so.
I can't name another team that has receivers like this that have performed the way they performed this offseason. So we may have the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL, and it's going to be hard to let one of those guys go. But when it comes to Tristan, this isn't just me being biased. When it comes to Tristan Jackson,
just a little bit.
I mean, Randy was never a big Tristan Jackson.
Nah, but I'm on board with you now. I was never with you. I was never with you the past 2 years,
but he's shown like
now
but
I'm with it. Yeah,
he did it the hard way. He stuck around on practice squad. Thank God nobody picked him up. He hung around, and now all that hard work seems like it's paying off. So I think he deserves to make this 53-man roster. But Randy, I got a question. Between Brandon Powell and Sherfield, who would you be more surprised that gets cut?
Sherfield.
You'd be more surprised with Sherfield?
Yeah, because I think he's a better receiver than Brandon Powell. And I think Brandon Powell's a damn good receiver.
Yeah.
But he's not the guy that you can say, all right, run a deep post or a corner post or a fly route and expect him to make a play. Sherfield gives you that.
Yeah, he's an underneath guy, which is what
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Naylor.
That's valuable too, sure.
Yeah, but Jalen Naylor is kind of that same guy to where he can take those underneath routes, get around the corner and get upfield, but he can also take those intermediate routes and those deep routes as well. So I've been extremely impressed with Jalen Naylor. And again, I've never been a Jalen Naylor guy, and it's been mainly due to injuries, but I didn't think he was this good. So I'll eat crow on that one. I'll admit I was wrong. I've been able to see him actually play, and he's a really, really good player. I just hope he's able to stay healthy. So
hey, shout out my boy 10 Ton Man. Real quick, 1010 #1, man. This is hat, man. Casino Tears, man. Shout out my guy. He sent me a bunch of shirts and stuff too, man. I'll be rocking.
Damn,
during some
1010,
of the shows,
where's
man.
our hats and shirts,
Yeah, I'm
man?
saying shout out to the broski, man, for sure.
Where's our
man.
hats
The
and
broski
shirts?
looked out with the merch package.
But before we get out of here, let's get to some of these comments. I know we wanted to emphasize on getting to your comments a little more after last week's show. Let me see if I can find a go in here. That was, let me see. This is an interesting one. Too Evil to Hope. He's been Mr. Negative in our comments today, but it's okay.
Oh.
We love you, Too Evil. He said, I bet you Bo Nix wins more games this season than McCarthy. I actually didn't read the whole comment.
That's dirty. That's dirty, bro.
We have a suggestion here from Papa Gary. He said, Rap SK Randy, you guys need to put polls after each debate, please. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
That's an idea.
Next show.
Yeah, we can definitely do that starting next week. We're taking suggestions here, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
We make this better every week. Leadership is going to be huge. I think that was regarding the defensive back room with Stephon Gilmore, which, again, that's another thing that we didn't really touch on. He's going to bring a lot of experience and a lot of leadership to that defensive back room, which is, I mean, it's needed. I know Byron Murphy's a veteran. I know Shaq Griffin's a veteran, but now you got a former defensive player of the year in the room, a lockdown man-to-man corner. That's positive. So, let's see what else we got. I should have starred your guys' comments. My bad. Let's see. Okay, now we're gonna dig in a foxhole here, and we're not gonna talk a lot about it. But Too Evil again. Maybe never tanking has resulted in the Vikings being the winningest NFL franchise without a Super Bowl win. You think that coincides with that by chance?
It could.
No, I think just in the biggest moments, this team just takes a fart when they do have those opportunities to, whether it's in 98 or 09, Favre with the interception across his body when he could have just took off with it. Blair Walsh, 2017, riding the high of the Minneapolis Miracle and not getting prepared for the Eagles game. It's not like they haven't had opportunities to break through and get that illustrious championship. They've had their moments, but every single time they reach that big moment, they drop a deuce.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with tanking this or tanking that. Just when the chips are down and these are the playoffs, it's a whole new season. Every team is good that you're going up against. And quite honestly, I think in those moments, they just, I hate to say this word, but they have been soft. They really have.
Minnesota nice.
Yeah.
The epitome of our team most of the time. But this thing I will say, I'm not saying this is going to amount to a Super Bowl in the next couple of years. We're not as soft or nice, especially with Brian Flores and that defense. I feel like we got a little bit of nasty. And I'll tell you right now, this may be me being a little bit biased. With JJ McCarthy as your starting quarterback, he may seem like a really nice guy, but the guy's a goddamn competitor. And that's what we need at that position. Delton says we have a top 5 defense. You guys agree with that?
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
Yeah,
I can
it's
see
definitely possible. Definitely possible.
Okay, let's get 1 or 2 more comments in here. 10 Ton says, send me an address and on the way. Thanks for the love, Rap. Rap, I'm going to send you my address. Send it to our guy, 10 Ton.
Yeah.
Randy,
hey, the package was fire, bro. He has tissues that say it's like just tissues, and it says Casino Tears.
So when we can cry when we lose on a Sunday,
we'll be pulling them out when we lose on Sunday and wiping our tears and shit, man. Good quality shirts,
or
man.
Beer
A bag, a fucking one of these shits. We got one of these finger shits right here, man, with his stuff on it, man. So like, we got a bunch of shit, man. Like, shout out my guy, man. My guy really working out here.
Is 10 Ton in Minnesota?
Nah, he's in Vegas.
Oh, okay. Close to me. Delton says, I'm not a Sherfield fan. I'd rather have Noel.
That's another name, too. We forgot about him. That's so much talent there. Hell, bring in 8 receivers.
Yeah, he getting cut. But we have we have seen a bunch of Eventbrite notifications coming through the past 2 hours. SK, I don't know if you noticed that for Skull Fest, man. It's going crazy. So if you haven't, man, make sure y'all RSVP, man. Like, cause God dang, bro, that thing gonna be packed to the roof. You know what I mean? We ain't want the fire marshals coming out.
Hey, and shout out to our all of our sponsors and our supporters, man. We raised over $1,300.
We did
on Saturday
night. Yeah, we raised $1,300 Saturday night, man. Shout out the community, man. Let's go.
So that's getting dumped right back into the event and all the giveaways we'll be doing. So we confirmed we will be giving away tickets to the home opener. So all you got to do is RSVP to the event, show up, and grab yourself a raffle ticket. It's a free entry if you RSVP. So free entry and possibly be at the game with the guys on the very next day. So, and then we got a bunch of other stuff that we're going to be giving away. No cheap stuff either. We're going to be giving away some really good prizes. So again, shout out to you guys. One more comment. Where was it? I'll let Too Evil. If we don't have some actual hits in this latest draft, Kwesi needs to be shown the door. Man. Go ahead, Randy. No.
Too negative for me, man. I'm positive Patrick.
I'm a Kwesi guy, man. I think besides the draft, I think the moves he's making, I like him. You know what I mean? Even if you take the draft out of it, I just like what he's doing. I like how he's doing it. And I'm a Kwesi guy. I'm a KOC guy. I think we have the right people running the franchise as of right now. And that's just where I'm gonna leave that. You know,
he's done enough to get an extension, I believe. Push come to shove between he and KOC. KOC is the guy that this year, not even this year, next year with JJ McCarthy, that's the guy you're looking at. Kwesi, if it were up to me, he'd get an extension right now, but it will make it a bit awkward of a dynamic between he and KOC if you did that. I get it.
And that's another thing. You cannot let KOC go after this season. No. KOC has to work with JJ McCarthy. It has to happen, bro. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't give a damn if we only win 3 games this season, bro. You have to let KOC stick around at least one season with JJ McCarthy. And he's going to be at a disadvantage again because his quarterback's hurt and can't really be out there getting the actual physical reps for a while. But at the end of the day, hey, it happens. Shit happens. KOC still is going to be judged off of next season with the quarterback that he selected.
The only way KOC gets fired after this year is if he gets caught in a hotel room with cocaine and hookers or something. Yeah. Like, it has to be something drastic.
Which could be possible. You know what I mean? With our luck and shit, you know what I mean? The way we hit the headline could happen.
Don't let us have another Love Boat incident.
Could happen. You know what I mean? If y'all see a KOC thumbnail coming across, you know what time it is.
Let's not do any negative KOC
with a pile of coke on the side of him and shit. I got the red arrow pointing at it. You know what time it is. It's going down.
but that's gonna wrap up tonight's show, guys. Sure, myself, SK, Realistic Randy, Rap. This is Purple Parlor. Make sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Purple Parlor 1, and we're on TikTok as well. So if you want to catch our clips, which will be we posted the one last week, we'll post 1 or 2 from this show this week as well. Go ahead and give us a follow on there at Purple Parlor 4. Again, we appreciate your guys' support. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. We appreciate you guys tapping in as always. Until next time, Skol Vikings, baby.
Let your boys.
Bye.
I say the same. I say the same. I say the same.